Welcome, Activators, to It Is Done. I'm Nisha, activator and host of this podcast. And here we don't just talk about faith, we activate it. You and I, if you're listening to this podcast or watching this, wherever you are, you and I'm sure, share a commonality. And that is that we are what I like to say, not surface dwellers, right? Our desire is to go deep, to deepen our connection with our source, our creator, the master of the universe. And in Exodus chapter 14, there's a very profound and impactful scripture where God says to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. And like I said, this is really a profound message because there really is a time for prayer, but there's also a time for action. And in no way is God dismissing Moses's cries for help. Rather, he was calling Moses to have faith in motion, right? Where he would have an act of boldness that would activate the miracle he was looking for the people. And we are often waiting, and we often find ourselves in a place, a posture of waiting for God to move, right? While He is waiting for us to take the first step. Okay. You've probably been there. I've been there lots of times where I'm sitting there like, God, I'm waiting on you to move. And and God is just like, hello. That's how me and God talk to each other. But I'm waiting for you to take the first step. And so today we're going to make this powerful shift together where we're going to go from asking to activating, from hoping for miracles to actually living in them, because there is a difference. And like I said, if you're anything like me, you've been asking, you've been waiting, but right now, I want to invite you to stop begging for what you already have been given and start believing that it is done. The life you're praying for is already yours. You don't need to beg for it. You don't need to chase it. You simply need to claim it. And I know what I'm saying may sound very simple to you, but we're going to go deep here. We're going to go on this together. The miracle that you're waiting for has already been set in motion. Okay? You've prayed, you're in alignment with God. The miracle has already been set in motion, the manifestation of it. The moment that you start to align your faith with your action, you activate the miracle in your life. Okay. Because faith is not just about believing, right? It's literally an act of moving forward as if it's already done. When you learn to step into this mindset, this framework, miracles aren't just possible, they literally are inevitable for you. Okay. So just, we're going to step into this mindset. It is done, and we're going to dive in. So, let's start by talking about the way that we approach prayer. Okay, prayer is absolutely important. So don't hear me wrong. But what I notice is that too often we pray from a place of desperation. And that is not what God intended for us. He literally didn't intend it for us. We were like, God, I need this. Please, I want that, right? Very lack-minded, very desperate. And while there is a certain beauty in humility, there's also power in authority. Okay. And we have authority, we've been given it. And if you're praying from a place of lack, you are absolutely 100% just reinforcing the idea that you don't have what you want. And you're actually creating more resistance for yourself and more resistance for what you are claiming, what you are expecting to show up in the physical. And it's really a bit like telling the universe that you don't believe it's going to come through you. Okay. You're looking for it to appear on the external, from an external source, from an external person, instead of from you, through you. So, right there, you have an authority problem, and you have a problem of seeing yourself as a conduit, as a vessel, as a source, as a power, because you've given your power, your authority to the external, to the physical. You see, when we pray with authority, we shift the energy. We begin to align ourselves with the outcome rather than just focusing on the problem. My grandmother used to always say to me, pray the solution, right? And as a child, I'm like, how can I pray the solution if I don't know the solution? And that's another topic for another day. But we must begin to align ourselves with the outcome that we are seeking, that we are claiming. And that's rather than focusing on the problem at hand, right? Rather than focusing on the lack, what's not in our hand right now. Instead of saying, please help me find abundance, we change and present the language of, I am open to the abundance that is already flowing to me, right? There's a different stance, a different posture there. We are no longer in lack. We are standing in abundance because we know abundance is already flowing to me. We're no longer pleading like, God, I am struggling to find love. We change that and now we're saying, I'm grateful for the love that is already finding its way to me. Even if you don't see the love around you or you don't feel it, you recognize that you are actually standing in love. That love is already making its way to you. I wish I could give language to like what I'm seeing right now because it's literally like swirls that show that I always say energy is everything. And like everything is always moving. We're in it and everything is moving together. So whatever you're seeking, it's already on its way to you. It's already finding its way to you, right? From the moment that you prayed. So the posture no longer becomes to stay on your knees. Now it's time to get up and start walking and taking that action. The empty cup does not ask for water, right? Because it knows that the rain is going to come. It trusts that the filling is going to arrive when it's time, right? And I mean, that can be hard because the cup, its purpose is what? To be filled. So, in the same token, on the same side, it's like, well, if it's waiting to be filled to fulfill its purpose, to be its purpose that it was created for, there's something that needs to take place in the physical that fills it so that it is in its purpose, it is enacting it. But if we know that the cup, and I've got tons of cups, I love collecting cups. If we know that the cup, the empty cup that are sitting in the cupboard, they're just waiting, right? And they're not just waiting in an idle sense, but they are trusting that they're going to be filled when it is time. We have to take that same kind of stance because when you pray, we have to let and learn, and really this is a thing that you begin to learn is that you begin to learn how to let your words carry weight. And again, like I said before, this is also a topic of authority. Okay, you may not understand your authority, but when you pray, you have to let your words carry weight because they do. So we're no longer asking from a place of emptiness. We are speaking with the fullness of faith that is in us. Thinking about words, I want you to just for a moment reflect on the language that you use when you pray. Like think about the prayer you prayed this morning or the prayer you prayed a second ago, right? What was the language that you used when you prayed? Do you often find yourself when you're praying saying, I need this? Or, please give me this, give me that. And it's okay if you do, because most of us are conditioned and taught from a young age to pray this way, right? We're taught to pray from a place of lack. But today we're going to shift that. We're going to start speaking as if what we want is already done. Again, this is a mindset, a framework that you must step into. What we want is already done. In James chapter 2, verse 17, we're reminded that faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Faith without works is dead. It's not enough for us to hope for miracles. We need to walk towards them. You can see this especially in the story of the Israelites at the Red Sea. This really teaches us this. When they stood there at the Red Sea, it was literally them standing at impossibility, right? They had the command to move forward. They had that command from God. And it wasn't the praying that parted the sea, it was the act of them moving. That is what activated the miracle. I want you to ask yourself, what is the Red Sea in your life? What Red Sea are you facing right now? Right? Maybe you feel like you're in a rock and a hard place. Maybe you feel like you've been waiting for God to part something for you while He is calling for you to use what's in your hands to start moving forward, to take action, and to step into the water. This is absolutely a shift in consciousness where it takes us from this passive act, this passive stance of waiting to active believing. Matthew 7:7 tells us to ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you're going to find. Knock and the doors will be open to you. Do you not hear the active language? Seek not. These are not just passive actions, right? They're movements of faith. And the miracle isn't in asking alone, it's in the seeking, it's in the knocking that follow the ask. We are called to move forward. Miracles are not just about receiving, right, what you ask for. You've asked God for something and you're waiting, you're just in a posture of waiting to receive it. No, they are about stepping into the reality where what I have asked for already exists. Now I need to seek and knock. When you come from the place, the mindset, the framework that it is done, and I believe that it is done, you don't pray from a place of lack. You pray from a place of certainty. Because remember, you have authority. Mark chapter 11, verse 24 says, and it emphasizes this point, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. It will be yours. The key then becomes to believe that you already possess the blessing. Faith transforms our mindset from one of hoping to receiving, right? We're no longer wishing. Now we're in a place of claiming what is already ours. We are claiming our promise. The question is not whether the miracle is available, but whether our actions reflect our belief in it. We're powerful. Do my actions line up with what I asked for? That's where that seek comes from. Do my actions line up with what I have prayed for? That I believe it's on its way to me? Are you praying for the Red Sea to part while still standing on the shore? Or are you willing to step into the water, trusting that the path is going to appear beneath your feet, right? So we're talking about authority, but we're also talking about trust. I mean, on one level is, do you trust yourself? Do you trust your own authority and power? And the other is, do you trust God? Because if I trust that I serve the master of the universe, when I step into the water, the path is going to appear before me. The sea is going to part. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We hear it all the time, Hebrews 11:1. This verse reveals the essence of faith, right? It is substance and it is evidence. Substance and evidence. It means that you need to walk forward with the confidence that the road will rise to meet you. Even when you can't see the path, you can't see the road, you can't see the next step, I know and I trust and believe that as I start walking, as I start taking steps, that even when I cannot see it, the path it starts being laid out in front of me. And not only that I trust that it's being laid out in front of me, but really I trust myself and I trust the master of the universe that he has me. He has me. God says that nothing is wasted. If you're sitting here waiting for a decision, you're holding all these decisions and choices in your mind and you don't know what step to take. Use your intuition, trust the power and authority that you have, that you know what to do. Make the step. And even if it's wrong, you know that God said nothing is wasted. He said all things work together for our good. God's response to Moses was not just a command to move forward, it was an invitation for him and for the people to step to a new level of faith. It was a call to start activating what had already been provided for them, what had already been claimed as done. And when you stop asking and you truly start believing, you then shift from a waiting for a miracle stance to walking in one. Okay, that's when you step in that authority that is already yours. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper for a second because I want to talk about the nature of desire. Your desires, are not just random thoughts or empty wishes. And we can think that a lot, right? But when you understand that you are aligned and connected, you realize that they are signals pointing you forward to what is already available to you. How do you see God, right? Do you see him as somebody that is withholding, or do you see him as the light that is constantly giving? I choose to see God as a giving God. He is constantly giving. Like he's not withholding anything from me. The word says, no good thing will he withhold. The universe, if you think about it, is abundant by nature. God created the universe. It's abundant by nature. He is abundant by nature. There is no shortage in God's provision for the world, for his children, right? There's only a shortage in our mind, our own limits, and in our ability to receive. I want you to think about that for a second. How do you view God? Do you think that God is withholding from you? Because he's not. God is not withholding from you, right? The blessings he has for us are not scarce. If he blesses me, it doesn't mean that he has to withhold a blessing from you. That's not how it works. This is really about whether you are ready to open yourself up to receive what is already there. The desires in your heart, God has not placed them there by accident. He does nothing by accident. They're not just teasing you dreams that'll never be fulfilled. The calling, the purpose, the things that God has placed inside of you are there for a reason. There are no accidents. They are invitations for you to step into alignment with divine flow. That is all they are. Literally, alignment. Everything is a call, an invitation for me to get into alignment, to get closer and closer to alignment so that I can progress, I can elevate, I can receive what God already has for me. And this is when I step into alignment with divine flow. I want you to think for a minute about something that you desire deeply, right? Just hold it in your mind for a second. Maybe for you, it's financial freedom. Maybe it's a meaningful relationship, friendships, a spouse. Maybe it's a sense of peace that you haven't felt in years. Whatever it is, I want you to sit with this thought for a moment. Notice how your mind reacts to you receiving this. Does doubt creep in? Does it say, that's never going to happen for you? I'll never have it. Do you feel resistance? Do you feel it internally? Do you feel it in your body, in the physical? Where do you feel that? That's okay. I just want you to observe it right now because what you're feeling is your current state of alignment with that thing that you're desiring, with that thing you're praying for, right? These are all signals. These are all things for us to pay attention to. The more you learn and you start to focus on your desire and see it as already fulfilled, the more you will begin to shift into alignment with it. When you start speaking about what you have prayed for, what you desire for, not as event in the future, right? But as a present reality, it is done. It's already fulfilled. So if it's done and it's already fulfilled, then that means I just need to take actions to meet it. I need to get in alignment. For example, if you were to sit here and say, I am living in financial freedom, or I am surrounded by meaningful and loving relationships. Speak it as if the outcome has already unfolded, right? It's already yours, you've already received it. Notice how your mind starts to change. It no longer is out there. It is now here. We are getting into alignment because the more you start to nurture these desires of yours that the master of the universe has placed inside of you, you're going to start noticing that your mindset will start to change. You'll start noticing that when I nurture these desires, they start to grow. It's literally just as if a seed is planted and it starts to receive water and sunlight. You may not see anything at first because the roots have to grow. They have to take root. But eventually, if you hold fast, if you stay in alignment, you're going to start to see it reflected in the external and the physical. When I talk about the shift, it's really for us to stop pleading and start activating. And this is a time to make the shift. This is a perfect time whenever you're listening to this, whenever you're watching this is a perfect time for you to make the shift. In fact, I would even go as far as to say you are being called to make a shift, to step into the energy of activating, right? To leave pleading behind. This is where you go from merely just asking for what you want to declaring with the confidence that it is already done. And we do this by incorporating visualization and affirmation into our daily lives. It's something that I love to do. Once I know the desire in my heart and I know that it is in alignment with the will of God, I will literally find evidence for this in scripture. And then I start to make a visual of this, something that I can hold in my mind's eye and start affirming it into my daily lives. No matter what I see, I go back to that. Remember, it's like a plumb line. I keep getting back into alignment with it. I want you to close your eyes for a second and just imagine your desires. Imagine your desires as if they're happening right now. Picture the details. How does it feel if your desire was to have financial abundance? How does financial abundance feel? What does that feel like? Because it's more than just money. What does that feel like? What does your daily life look like if you are surrounded by love and peace? The more vivid you can make the picture, the more real it becomes for you. If you even just do something small, if you start spending 5 minutes every morning, maybe 5 minutes every night, and you start visualizing the things that you have prayed for, the things you have asked God for as already complete, you can start to feel the emotions that come with living within that reality. And you start to let your entire being resonate with the frequency of it is done. It becomes such a beautiful thing for you to witness. Like the first time you witness this, you start to realize that there are no limits. You start to realize how you are such a powerful co-creator with the master of the universe. An affirmation I like to say is that the world rises to meet my faith. Whatever level my faith is at, for the thing that I am desiring, I am praying for. Whatever alignment I am in, the universe, the world rises to meet that. Because again, I am a powerful co-creator with the master of the universe. God is a gentleman. He's not going to force himself on us. So I am the master of my universe, and I serve the master of the universe. And I say, I'm praying for this level of financial abundance, but internally and externally, that's not in alignment. Of course, I'm going to receive, and the world is going to start giving me and reflecting back to me as evidence what I am truly in alignment with. This has nothing to do with God withholding from us. Remember, He is a generous God. He's a loving God. The world will rise to meet your faith. Take a deep breath and picture your desire. Picture what you've prayed for. It's already happening. You see that. It's already happening. What does it feel like? What emotions come up for you? Just listen to them. Just feel them. It's just evidence. How does it feel to let yourself smile, to know that this is your reality? Open your eyes. Can you hold that feeling? Can you remember that feeling when the external doesn't reflect back to you? This is the energy you need to bring into your daily life. When you pray, don't pray from a place of uncertainty, right? Don't pray from a place of lack. I don't know if it'll happen. You're lukewarm. Pray with the authority of someone who knows that they are already blessed. I don't care what the external tells me, I am blessed. Declare, I am ready to receive the abundance that is flowing to me now. I am surrounded by love and guided by divine wisdom. Let your words reflect your belief in the promises of what's already done, what the Creator, the Master of the universe, has already placed before you. The word says He prepares a table for us. Can you imagine what the Master of the universe has prepared for you? Now, let's get real about something real quick, because this is something that holds many of us back, and that is limiting beliefs. We've touched on it a little bit. Those thoughts that creep in and tell us that we're not enough, we'll never have something, that we don't deserve it. All of these beliefs come from a place of lack. God tells us to think on these things. Lack thoughts are here. We are supposed to think on things that are lovely, that are true, The thoughts we have that come from a place of lack are often things that have come about through trauma that are deep rooted in our subconscious mind. And today I want us to give language and expose those beliefs for what they are. They're really just distractions from the truth. When you start to believe and become more aware of the words that you speak and the power of the words that you speak, every time you say, I need, I replace it with, I am receiving. I need $10,000. I am receiving $10,000. Don't worry about the how, that's not your job. If you catch yourself thinking, I'm not enough, replace it with, I'm more than enough. When you start to do this consistently, of course, it's not natural, original at first for you to stop yourself and fix your thoughts, fix the words that you speak. But you understand that you are a powerful creator. When you start to do this consistently, you begin to reshape the narrative in your mind, and the external meets that. The world rises to meet your level of faith. One of my favorite practical, and I've talked about this a bit, my favorite practical ways to shift from lack to abundance is by creating daily affirmations. I will literally write down my thoughts, and the ones that I see are limiting beliefs, I'll rewrite them. I'll rewrite them as affirmations that resonate with the truth of who I am, the truth that God says about me, and I speak them out loud. I let these words become part of the new reality that I step into. I am worthy of every good thing because he says I am. I am capable of manifesting my deepest desires because he says I am. I am open and ready to receive all the blessings that are meant for me because he says I am. And when you start to do this, you start to step into faith-driven action, and you start to recognize and realize that it's time to move. Because remember, faith without action is incomplete. You're not taking steps forward to what you want. You're not fully activating your faith. Israelites stepped into the water, then the miracle happened. Sometimes you have to make the first move before the path becomes clear. Think about the widow in 2 Kings. She didn't just pray for the oil to appear. She started what? Gathering vessels. She started preparing for the abundance that she knew that was going to come. If you have a business and you know that your business is going to be successful, God told you to launch out and do this, you know it's going to be successful. Does it make any sense to in the physical to not make a bank account to hold the abundance that you know you're going to receive, to prepare to receive? It makes no sense. There's nowhere for the money to come. Are you preparing for what you're praying for? Think about one action you can take today that shows you that you're ready for the miracle. It could be something small or big, it doesn't matter. It's all about taking that step now. A lot of what we talked right now has been in 2 dimensions. Okay? We've been talking about faith in action. It's in 2 dimensions. We live in the physical world, right? So it's not just enough for us to do the internal spiritual work. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it makes us feel good, it makes us feel fulfilled. But there has to be external expansion as well. There has to be something in the external that demonstrates that you are moving in a direction towards something. So we're going to wrap up this podcast episode with some practical steps, some physical applications that you can take to marry faith and action. You can start implementing these today, okay? I want you to start thinking of these as like your daily activation plan, right? Because if you're listening to this, you're an activator. We're not just hearers of the word, we are doers. One of the first things I'm going to recommend and invite you to start doing is the morning declarations. If you do not command your morning already, you need to. Pick 1 or 2 or 3 affirmations that are powerful for you, that when you say, you feel a deep connection to them, that they reflect the belief that it is already done for you. Let these be the first words you speak in the morning after recognizing and honoring your creator. The second thing is mindful visualization. It is 5 minutes out of your day is nothing to sit and think and meditate on what you have prayed for as if it's already happening, as if it's already done. And then the third thing is to really start expanding your prayers, right? Is there a way for you to include others? Because remember, blessings multiply when you start extending them beyond yourself. When you pray for others, you literally expand your own capacity to receive. You become a vessel for blessings to flow through. Lift someone else this week up in prayer. Ask for their needs to be met. Stand in the gap for them and watch your own needs begin to unfold. It happens every time. If you're listening to this right now, if you're watching this, it's time for you to stop asking and start believing. When you start doing this, you will not just see the miracles. You will not just see the miracles happening for everyone else around you. You will literally live them, right? Miracles are happening every day all around us. The miracle is not in the asking, it is in the believing and the becoming. Today, we made a powerful shift from asking to activating, from waiting for miracles to living them. We explored what it means to believe that the life you're praying for is already yours and to step into the authority of claiming it. I want to challenge you to take this message to heart and put it into action. Remember, 2 dimensions. Stop begging for what you already have. Stop begging for what you already have and start living like it's already done. You are an activator. It's time to move from wishing to knowing, from hoping to believing. If you enjoy this podcast and you're ready to take these teachings even deeper, I want to personally invite you to join our podcast community. This is where we turn words from each and every single episode into real transformative action. We get to connect with other activators, other like-minded individuals who are committed just like we are to not just being hearers of the word, but doing it. We get together, we connect, we dive deeper, we share insights, and we support each other to boldly live out our faith. There is something powerful and special when you arc and connect with others. God says, wherever two or more are gathered in the midst, I am there. If you want an even deeper experience, when you join the free community, you have access to a PDF copy of my devotional I wrote titled It's Already Done, which inspired this podcast. You can walk through the 30-day devotional on your own with the book that you receive as a bonus for joining the community. Or if you're seeking more connection and an immersive journey, you're welcome to join our live group program. This opens up in a couple of weeks, actually, and we're going to be tackling one day from the devotional an entire week. So this will run for 30 weeks. This is going to be an amazing space for us to connect, for us to grow, for us to reflect, for us to activate our faith in a shared community setting. I go through the devotional almost every other month, and I've been doing that for years. I know other people who have the devotional have been doing that as well. And every time I go through it, I receive something else. And the last time I went through it, God spoke to me and he said, "You're just scratching the surface." He told me to go deeper. And so I started to take one day and expand that lesson. And I cannot wait to share that with you. I cannot just wait to see what God does through me, through you in that setting. So if you want to visit our community to learn more, I am absolutely ready for you to take your next step toward deeper spiritual growth. I'm excited for it. Remember, you are an activator, and it is time for you to turn your faith into action. The miracle is not in the asking, it is in the believing and the becoming. Who are you believing? What are you becoming? What are you believing for? What are you becoming? Thank you for joining me today on It Is Done. I'm Nisha, here to remind you that your miracle is already within your reach. Until next time, keep believing, keep moving, and keep activating.